Hey everybody, let's get painting. We're finishing HALOWEEN today, and this is our first time that Instagram Live is actually going. What's going on, Copboy? What's going on, Cole? Thanks for joining. I haven't figured out how to get Instagram Live to do the chat on screen, so sorry, Instagram Live, if you're chatting. I see that there's a few people that joined in. Skyborn, Colorful Dog, Adsum, thank you for being here for the first Instagram Live paint stream. So we're going to give this a try. I think it's going to work. For Sanguinary Guard, let me see here, Izzy. Hang on. Let me put my microphone on my thing. Real Bone Hours, what's going on, Odo? For Sanguine Guard, you want like a purplish red, like blood specifically. Like if you want, like everybody makes the mistake of like, we're going to go super bright. It's not bright. It's much more of a desaturated red. So I would do something like we have Dragon Red is a good base with a little black in it, and then you build that up to a pure red, and then finally highlight it with a Raging Rose, something like that. If you're gonna go a red, and especially a Sanguine Red. But let me look up their color scheme. But let's put it on the paint cam just so that we can see where we are. What's going on, Don? Thanks for joining on Instagram. Oh, and thanks, Cole. Thanks. Yeah, we changed the profile pic. Say thank you to Yoichi for making that. It turned out awesome. Okay, so here we are. Sorry, I'm just doing the last little bit of setup here. Next time I'll have figured out Instagram Live properly, and I won't need to be this meticulous about it. But we're finishing off Ahriman today. We did the cape, we did the back spear, we did the backpack a little bit, we did the back of the horns. There's really only a couple things to do. We just didn't do the book yet, and we didn't do the some of the little accessories. So we're just going to finish that off, and then we're going to try and get started on the large model that we're doing. Which, by the way, I don't know what's going on with my stuff here. I think chat on regular stream is wigging out. Or at least it looks like it is. Hang on. Yeah, it was way weirdly sized. There we go. Fix that. Sorry about that. So let's get these paints ready. So for the book, we're going to use some deep blues. We're going to still keep with the blue scheme, but I'm going to go darker. I'm going to go Shadowthorn, and then we're going to build that up to probably an Arctic Gem. I want it to be more blue than the turquoise. I want it to be separate from the from the scheme that we've got going on with the cape. But after this, we're going to be in the clear for Ahriman. I will do the disc separately and post photos and everything, so don't worry, we will get that done. I'm not just ignoring the disc. What's going on, Sebafir on Instagram? Thanks for joining. Okay, take a look here. Welcome, Black Saturn on Instagram. He's on a plate. He has this little disc as his main transport. Odokuro. Which, by the way, anybody watching on Instagram, we're also streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I haven't figured out how to put Instagram chat on screen, but I will answer your questions and respond. So right now we're doing the interior of this book. It's the last accessory. What's going on, James D? Thanks for joining on Instagram. This is our first ever Instagram live stream. So if you're here, I truly appreciate it. It'll be better next time because I'll figure out how to put chat on the thing. But we're finishing Ahriman. Ahriman today. Which, by the way, anybody on Instagram, can you tell me if the music's actually playing or if you can hear my voice? Because I'm not even 100% sure that that's working the way that I set it up. Yes to all, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mini Armada. I appreciate you. But anyway, if you're just joining, we did this Ahriman in a non-metallic metal style throughout. We tried to do a textured cloak, and we did the alt color scheme. We did like a reverse color scheme for his armor. We did a reversal. The cape was supposed to be red, and then the armor was supposed to be blue, and we said, let's switch it up. And now we're just doing the last of the accessories here, which is this book and some of these little skull things on the belts and the little bone thing at the end. And we're doing all the little leather bits to make them look a little bit nicer. And we'll probably do non-metallic metal gold for the filigree on the book as well. What did you say, Odo? Why are you saying bad words in chat? I'll allow it this time. Pretty much all times. But it still stars it out in the main chat. That's funny. I'm just putting some highlights inside of the book. Areas where the dark blue is. Just separating the colors a little bit. And there's a jewel in the center, which we can do a lot of, which is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us, because it's pretty difficult to have the details pop on that little accessory, but if the jewel stands out, it will take away from how bad the rest of it might be. And the way we're going to do this jewel, a man of culture. Yes, thank you, Mini Armada. We try. If you're referring to our taste in music, I agree. And I hope that you all do too. It's kind of difficult to see, but we're gonna get there. I wish I was. I would if I had a ticket. I don't have one. Where is Adepticon, by the way? If it's here in LA, then I'm stupid for not going. Do I still have time to get a ticket? Let's do some of the filigree here. Milwaukee? No, I'm not close. I couldn't catch the flight. But I will start going to different events here very soon. Now that we have a little bit more of the resources to do it. So I'm doing a non-metallic metal gold recipe here. It's actually from Pro Acryl, so let me show it to you really quick. I'm going to zoom out. So the recipe for the non-metallic metal gold that's on this Ahriman already is the Pro Acryl signature line from Flameon, actually. I like it a whole lot. It's been extremely helpful. So it's these four colors. It's dark green brown, dark green brown, dark orange brown, and then bright yellow ochre. What's going on, Ren Havoc? Oh, this is Ren Evil, okay. Thanks for joining on YouTube. So I'm gonna zoom back in. And we're gonna apply the dark green brown to the little filigree section on the interior of the book. Doing our best. This is also a testament to how important having a sharp brush is, because I've been using a size 2 Winsor & Newton for this whole thing. And I'm able to get these small details fairly accurately. So it's more important to have a sharp brush than a smaller tip. They have a large contingent for painters this year. Are they like, do you mean that they're like accepting new painters, or are they just showcasing new painters? Because I'm not actually familiar. I mean, I would love to be a part of it. That'd be cool. Here is the dark orange brown. We're using that for the first highlight color for the non-metallic metal gold filigree on this book. The trick to doing filigree is incremental spacing. And what I mean by that here is, I don't know if you can see it on the horns, but some people describe it as looking kind of like Christmas lights, where the top here, it's one section, second section, third section, then darkest. And you separate them by individual color, and it allows that sort of effect. It's much more convincing than doing like a typical blend. And if you're just starting to learn how to do non-metallic metals, it's very helpful. Now to use with an airbrush, yeah, exactly, Odo. Now, I should do one model entirely with an airbrush just to show that it's possible. I would just be really annoyed by it because I think it's one more tedious than it needs to be, but thank you, Philly Nomad. I appreciate it. On Instagram. You just saw Project Hail Mary, Ren? How was it? Was it actually good, or was it like a hype movie? Because it has been non-stop promoted. I can't believe how heavy they're pushing that. Oh yes, no, airbrushing is definitely can produce some incredible results, Ren. I just think that it's such a high learning curve that it's not good to send that to beginners. Like say, hey, grab an airbrush. I just don't think it's. I haven't tried the true metallic metals. I need to though. Are they available for actual purchase? Because I was waiting for them to go on sale. All I've seen is pre-orders. Skynet. If they are not available yet, I am not one of the lucky few who got a preview copy of them or anything like that. Okay, so it's a little hard to see the blue triad last week. I will go grab some because I would love to showcase those. So it's a little bit harder to see, but there's a little bit of that non-metallic metal gold filigree going on the interior of that book now. I'm not going to call it perfect, but it's definitely more convincing than nothing. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Generally, it was a great sci-fi movie. I generally hate most modern movies. Okay. What would you rate it out of 10, Ren, in your opinion, for new movies coming out? Some imperfections give an art piece character. Okay. Do you mean that like... Oh, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make this jewel a total contrast color. What's a contrast of blue? Orange. So we're gonna make a dark orange. We're gonna make an orange gem to make it stand out even more. And this is how you cheat, by the way. So if you want it to look more impressive, use contrasting colors. Is it contrasting or complementary when it's on the opposite end of the color wheel? Because it makes whatever the item that you're using or the color that you're using seem brighter. Somebody with an art degree, please tell me. So we're gonna use orange because it's surrounded by blue. And all you need to do for that is have 2 stages because it's such a small gem. There's no reason to do, like what you typically see in a gem is probably 3 to 4 builds, but it's so small that you can get away with doing a little less. I put down a base orange in like a crescent moon shape. And then I put a little dot of yellow in there. Oh, do you say 5 out of 7 for the movie? I hate the 7 scale. I hate the 7 scale. Like it's such a like it has a middle, I guess, because 4 would be the dead center of that, but it just doesn't make sense in my brain. Like if you said 4 out of 7, that means it lands right in the middle. Okay, let's paint the pages of the book really quick. We're just going to use a beige. Keep it simple. Am I reading chat wrong? Did you say 5-7? Or are you calling Ahriman a 5-7 manlet in chat? And that's why he cast that spell. Welcome, Captain James. Appreciate you being here on Instagram. All right, here's the book so far. So we did a little bit of gold filigree on the interior, and then we did the orange gem to make it stand out a little bit, and then we just did the pages. I think it's a pretty solid accessory book. It doesn't have to be perfect. Especially with so much else going on this model already. Thanks, man. Thanks, Captain. I appreciate you. We did. we did lots of non-metallic metal on this guy. It was a lot of fun. Okay. I think that literally finishes him because I'm going to go insane if I have to keep putting paint on this guy. So we'll move on to the next model, which we get to have a new showcase. We're going to be doing Princess Bowser, the power crown version of Bowser. So I got to go grab it really quick. But let's do a quick spin for Ahriman. Our guy. I'm gonna off camera do the base. And take pictures and put it on Instagram. Do a quick yeah, Rin. I think you turned out really good. Thanks, man. Thanks, Odo. I appreciate it. All right, I'll leave him on screen for a second while we go get our other model. Give me 1 second. She's so huge that I'm keeping her in this like giant shoebox. So let me show you really quick. So this model is so big that this is the only way I could store her is inside of a shoebox. These are my shoes. This is where my shoes were, by the way. This is a size 13 Adidas. It is gigantic. So let's start with one piece. We're going to start with the face, because I think that it's going to be the most fun. Because I need to hold it with my hands, I'm going to be using gloves, because I'm going to get paint all over everything. Which, by the way, I think I've fixed the music problem. It hasn't stopped yet. I Got to School by Airbus is a great name, by the way, on Instagram. It's pretty creative. I like the sound of it. Okay. For this, we're going to start out with some base coating using our favorite makeup sponges, so I don't drop them all over the floor. And we're going to start with a dark, not like a crazy dark, because the Boo figure that we did before had a really purpley undertone for the skin. So this time we're going to go with a little bit more of a orangish undertone for the skin. ChrisChan.ly. That's I literally read it as Chris Chan, and then I read the Lee. That's pretty clever. Over on Instagram. So for the skin formula, we're going to be doing this. These are the skin steps. So we're going to do a base coat of Moonstone skin, then ruby skin on top, and then pearl skin to highlight. The pearl skin, even though it's going to be the smallest amount of paint, is going to be what the actual skin tone ends up being. So that's the way this formula works. So we'll start out with the Moonstone skin all over the model. Make sure it's mixed up really well. And for this, we're actually going to be using, to apply the base coat, we're going to be using a brush. And then for the two secondary coats, we're going to be using the makeup sponge. So for the brush, you can get, any brush that you want, whatever's going to give the best coverage for you. For base coating, I really like to use a dry brush. I'm going to hold it by the neck here. And it is going to get like in the mouth and everything like that. So, but don't worry about it, because we're going to be doing secondary coats on everything else afterwards. You don't need to worry about getting into the places that aren't going to stay that way for this first step. It is Cough Boy. This is going to take several coats. Trust the process here. Don't put on too much all at once because you will regret it. Do it in several thin coats. What's going on, Arubel? Arubel? I might not be pronouncing that right. So sorry ahead of time. This is a little too watery. Hang on. You don't want it to be too watery because bubbles will make it look bad. You want it to be dense enough where it has even, smooth coverage. Especially for the initial base coat, because the makeup sponge is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the secondary coats. It is. I think it's about time I can put, no, I can't yet. Alicia, thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it. Ruble. Hi, Ruble. Okay, here comes the third coat. We're going to start to get some actual opacity now. Be careful if you start to see something like this where if you paint and it's actually scraping off some, come back to that spot later. It's too soon. And because this is a large model compared to everything else we've been doing, you're going to find out that like, oh, everything's taking so much longer to dry. Yeah, because this is a bigger surface area. Tommy Pub and Out the Mud Minis. Out the Mud Minis is a great name. That's pretty cool. Nice name. Okay. Going. One of the disadvantages of using a dry brush to base coat is that you will find that you get water up in the upper portion of the bristles more often than with a traditional brush. Well, thanks for joining from Hong Kong. I appreciate it. It's nice to see everybody from all over the place. We are base coating the flesh tone of our Bowsette figure head. Hong Kong viewer on Instagram. This is probably going to be the most boring part of painting this model, because it just takes a lot of patience and diligence to put these initial base coats down without messing it up. Let's let that dry for a second. Need to get some more paint on the palette. Believe it or not, we actually ran out. It is a big model. There's no dumb questions, Y2K. A Saturnine Dreadnought? I do, but it's a poorly done one. This is the old version of it. I want to do another one because I don't like the way that one ended up at the end. I eventually will. Why, is that something you want to see, Y2K? Welcome Blue 40K on Instagram. All right, now we got to get a little bit more gentle here, because now that we're getting to the final coats, as you can probably see, this cheek, when you're painting it, some of it has come off, so we have to let it dry completely before we continue, because otherwise it's going to continue to get worse, and it will ruin the rest of the coats, because we will end up having a space there that's slightly lower than the rest of it. So when you see something like that, stop, let it dry, and then come back to it. But in the meantime, we can do another piece of it, which is going to be the hair. So we can start base coating this at the same time. The most difficult part of this, I think, is that it's hard to use bases or anything to hold them other than my hand. So I'm gonna have to hold it like this and do the hair, and then put it down so where it doesn't get on other stuff. But there you go. So the color of her hair is like a really rich blonde with orange undertone. So we need to use a dark orange, but we need to make it even maybe a little bit darker than this if we're going to be, but we already have a black, so it might not be necessary. So I'm going to try going with just the plain version of it first. This is going to require a lot. What's going on, 1,000 or 10,000 orcs? I've always loved that name every time I've seen it. It portrays the orcs perfectly. What's going on, man? Here comes that orange undertone. Man, I love this orange. Good luck in the office meeting, man. Tommy. I don't know that he's 10,000 orcs in one trench coat, Odo. He's not like trying. I don't know that he's trying to sneak into the movies. But that would be really funny if they did, if he was, because what would happen is that because of the orc belief system, whoever they were trying to trick would probably have to believe them. Which, by the way, Instagram, sorry that chat's not on the screen. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But I will for next time. But I do see you and I will read. Stag Bag, welcome over on YouTube. Thanks for being here. As always, still love the name Stag Bag. It's such a good name. I really do love the undertone of this orange. It's got a lot of personality. How I'm going to describe it. The hardest part of this is ensuring that you got all of the little crevices, because if you have one, it really stands out. If you miss one, it really stands out. It's tough. Okay, let's let that dry for a minute. What's going on, TMS01 over on Instagram? Bowsette is not a Super Saiyan 3. But this would be closer to Super Saiyan 4 Fusion GT era style hair. Thank you. We only listen to good music here. Okay, so now that this has had a chance to dry a lot, now we're going to be much safer in putting on the coats that are going to cover up this little patch here. You gotta wait. There we go. Now it didn't fix it completely, but we have to let that dry all the way, just like everything else. But we are getting very close. Now we have to be really gentle. Okay, then stop and let that dry. Let's go back to the hair and put on a second coat of the orange. we dry enough? Pretty close. There we go. It may seem like a lot, but it really is important to get this base coat as smooth as you possibly can and as opaque as you possibly can, because the black will just really ruin any kind of like light effects that you do. Must have been the wind. Maybe it was, Cough Boy. Maybe it was. I'm having a great day, Stagbag. Thank you. Appreciate the thought. By the way, I do realize that this would have been faster with an airbrush, but we don't have an airbrush cam. We have an airbrush, but it's not close enough to where I can use it. Also not in a ventilated area. For anybody cringing and saying like, you're doing this whole thing with brushes? Yes. Yes, we are. Doing this giant model brush only. Still don't have an airbrush. I've had one for a while. It's not that it's not, again, I will always say it's not that I don't like using it. I do like using it. It's just that it's very specific when I use it. It would be for stuff like this, but if I wasn't doing it on camera, I probably would do it on, I probably would put some base coats down using the airbrush, but I also do want to emphasize that it's not actually necessary. All right, moving back to the face, put down another coat. Again, being very gentle so we don't lift the paint that we already put down. Just in case it wasn't all the way dry. Keep it smooth. All right, we're finally getting to that point where we're getting a nice even coverage. It took a while, but it's worth it. As you can see, there was no secret technique behind it. It was just doing a lot over and over again. And when you do this, The next stages will be all the easier. Is it too hard to read text on red over in Twitch chat? I can change the background of that. I'm not married to red background. Would it be better if it was black with white, just a high contrast? I think that 3 to 4 coats total for this hair is going to do it for the orange base. You'll actually see why it's so important for this to not have so much black is because when we use the makeup sponge to apply the blonde colors to this, the orange really needs to be consistent throughout, because if you have the black, it will stand right out. You'll probably see an example because there's just no way that I'm going to be able to get 100% of it. But we're getting there slowly but surely. You know what else is fun about doing a giant model like this is you pretty rarely get to use this much paint. Pretty fun to be able to kind of slather. All right, we're getting close. I think this might actually be the last coat on the face here. I'm not missing anything critical, which I'm sure that I will find something that I didn't get all the way. For example, this little top of the ear is being real stubborn. Get a little more paint on the palette there. All right. I think that we'll be able to do the first layer of the makeup sponge highlight as soon as this first coat dries. Oh yeah, Stagbag, there's a Discord. Will somebody please drop that in the... Oh wait, he's on YouTube. Stagbag, go to the my bio, and you'll see the link to the Discord right there. It's called the Bad Painters Club. So if you want to show off some minis or see me yapping off stream, that's where I'm going to do it. That goes the same for anybody on Instagram or anybody on Twitch. Go to the bio and it's going to be right there, linked to the Discord. Do something that this is also something that you have to deal with when you're doing bigger models is dust. I wish that I didn't have to, but sometimes you got to paint in an oxygen tent to prevent from that happen. That's the only way. That's the only surefire way. The last coat was enough, but now that it's dried, there's just a couple little problem areas that we're just fixing really quickly, but then it will be ready for the first round of the makeup sponge here. Hitting golf balls of the range? Oh yeah. Thank you, Ren. Thank you, Ren, for giving. Did you know most of the dust? By the way, he said most of the dust in your home is human skin. That makes you always think like, yeah, most of the dust in your home is human skin. You eat 11 spiders per year in your sleep. Your pillow is 90% skin cells by the end of year one. I'm just kidding. All those stats are greatly exaggerated, but it's funny to think of them. Okay. Now that this is dry, let's use the makeup sponge to put the first coat of ruby skin. So this is the first highlight to get up to pearl skin. Okay. So we're using a small teardrop makeup sponge. I got these on Amazon for 15 bucks, a pack of 45. Pretty cheap. Somebody was asking, how do you take care of these? If you don't want to throw them away, it's acetone. You have to soak them in a little bit of acetone to get the paint out of them. Okay, here comes the first coat. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And we can be pretty heavy-handed with this. Because it's going to take a few layers to get on and to become really visible. But you do not have to be shy, because you are on purpose changing the skin tone. The thing that you don't want to do is to under apply. There's something called, somebody said it once before, you have to trust the sponge to do its work. And of course, it's going to be more noticeable in areas with higher levels of creases. So places like the ears specifically and the under of the neck here are going to be really noticeable, where those distinctions come in, and under the eyes. Going on, Storm Shadow? Thank you for joining over on Instagram. A little hard to see. I will fix the camera orientation next time. But here's the first layer, or the first, not layer, but the first application of the secondary skin tone. So it's completely changed the complexion to a much more fair complexion, obviously. And it left a bunch of the dark, warmer skin tones in the creases. Now we'll apply the brightest tone. It's the pearl skin. And I am using the same makeup sponge because it actually is okay if they mix a little bit. It gives it a nicer transition. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect. So you'll see this really start to stand out here once I start applying it to things like the cheeks and the tip of the chin. And really you want to make sure that this hits the areas where it's going to be the most important, places where it's most prominent, like the middle of the forehead, tip of the nose, down the midline of the face. And then in this instance, the ears as well. We also need to make sure that we pay attention to the neck down here. So now that we've done most of that, I'm going to apply the base coat to the neck. Because now we can actually let that dry. Because there is a portion of the neck that does show when you put this on the model. Let that dry all the way. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's a process. It's a process for sure. Especially for a giant model like this. Hey, Golem smash. Golem smash. Golem does smash. Wait a minute. Need more orange. Let's zoom out a little bit so that it's easier to focus and less difficult to see everything. If we're lucky, I will be able to get the first makeup sponge highlight of the hair down so you can kind of see the vision of what's going to happen here. That is my goal. You think the world really ended in 2012 and we didn't realize? Possible. Hey! Thank you for joining Golden Maple Official for, that's one of our lovely sponsors, which, by the way, this is a Golden Maple dry brush. Excellent. I love it. I've been using it non-stop since I got it. Thank you for sending it, Golden Maple. If you're interested in Golden Maple products, please visit the link in my bio. You can use code GOLEM, G-O-L-E-M, for 15% off of anything on their website. They're great. I've loved using them. Yes, Golden Maple are real Chads, Odo, over on Twitch. Okay. Chuck Norris used Golden Maple brushes to paint his miniatures. He probably did. He knew about them before they existed. Exactly right. Okay, applying one more layer. The original color. Oh, hang on. Actually need to get that on there. To the neck. And just because this is dry enough to touch now, I'm gonna do a little dry fit here of the back of the hair to the head. So by the way, that's what it's gonna kind of, there's another piece of the hair that goes in front, but that's where it connects to the head. So we gotta do this portion too. All right. Gotta let that dry all the way. Do one more application of the darker color to the neck. But I think that we are, once that's done drying, we're going to put the first application of the first highlight on the hair, and then we're going to call it for today. But we finished Aruman. Aruman. And we did some of the face and some of the hair on our Bowsette statue. We're going to use a giant makeup sponge for the hair highlight. And we're going to do, first highlight is going to be Glowing Inferno. It's not quite all the way yellow, but it's close. We're going to call it for today. Come back tomorrow. The streams are going to be today. The streams scheduled for this week, by the way, is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Great song to end the stream on. The shame. We'll build her out more after these two are done, because really you need to get these two, there's one more section done before you can start fitting it together. Because if I had this on the head, it would be extremely difficult to do the rest. All right, here comes the first highlight for the hair. We're all very excited. And this is really just a big, heavy makeup sponge. But look at how fiery it looks already. And how the orange stays in the recesses. That's perfect. Exactly what we were looking for. Look at that fiery hair. Everybody loves it. The power of the makeup sponge. Women knew about it and kept it from us this whole time. There we go. Let's zoom it out. I keep the sponge pretty separated, bits. It's pretty wet, but it's not like completely. So like if I squeeze it, nothing comes out, but it's cold and wet to the touch. I squeeze all the water out as much as I can before I apply the paint, just so the paint stays wet and it doesn't dry. And then I apply the paint on it from a wet palette. But this is the result. And then you know what? We can even do. We'll make it a little bit better. We will do the next level highlight. It's going to be inner light, and we'll just do it lightly. Because this one, you do actually want to be a little more careful. Because you don't want it to turn yellow. I still want it to be pretty fiery. So I am taking a fresh makeup sponge for this, because I don't want these to necessarily mix. So I'm just taking a fresh one. Getting it ready. So this one, it's mainly you're going to focus on the ends and the top. So don't be as heavy as the last pass. I'm not pushing down as hard as I was for the first pass. I'm essentially kind of just tapping the surface without pressing down. It is just brightening it up. It's not even that noticeable, but we're gonna get there. And actually, we probably need to go a little blonder, just a little bit. Okay, that's good. I don't want to mess with it too much more because the contrast is really good right now. All right. So, we did the initial coating on the face to get to the skin tone we like, and we did the hair. And that's what we're going to call it for today. We will come back to this tomorrow on stream. Thanks everybody for being here who stuck around. I will see you guys on the next one. Hey, thank you for joining. Full Skate Gaming. You came at the very end, I'm sorry. But we did the hair and we did the face today. I will see you guys tomorrow on stream. Have a good night. We will continue with this and we'll put it together. See you guys next time. If you can still hear me, Ren, it's a Sony Alpha ZE-10, I think. Anyway, good night.